Greetings everywhere you're watching this video. I am TIAMIYU-AYOOLA of TIAMIYU's Educational Concepts. In this video, I'll be presenting the concept of phonics. Let's dive into the journey together. Thanks. Now, what is phonics? Phonics is a method of teaching reading and writing by correlating sounds with symbols, that is letters, in an alphabetic writing system. Phonics teaches readings and writing. Instead of using the alphabet names like A, B, C, we use the sounds that they make to teach both reading and writing. And that is the use of phonics. Gone are the days when we use ABCs to teach both reading and writing, which was convincing, which was not really strict to even to the learner and the teacher as well. But with the help of phonics, we can use the sounds derived from those letters to teach both reading and writing, using the letter itself as symbols for both sounds and the alphabetic letters. As such, phonics doesn't require the memorization of words or letters before a child can start reading. Rather, phonics involves recognition or identification of sounds to some particular letters, knowing that a sound or a letter represents a sound. That is all. So let's see what are the involvement of phonics. Let's go. Involvement of phonics, or what phonics involves, means the terms we use when we teach phonics. As teacher of phonics, when we teach our learners, it is very important that we use this term with them so that what we are teaching will be more meaningful to them and it will make sense when we use them to apply in the knowledge of phonics. The children will easily understand what we mean when we mention these terms after we might have explained to them actually. So one of them is phonemes. Phonemes is the smallest unit of sound in a language. Every language has phonics. All language has phonics. So when we say phonemes, phonics means a particular letter that we use to represent a smallest unit of sound, a sound. As I said earlier, phonics involve the use of letters as well in writing, but we use the sounds in what? In reading. So as such, the two of them goes hand in hand. We use these letters to represent the sound while we write and why we teach identification. But with pronunciation, with naming of those letters, when it comes to phonics, we don't call them their names, we call their sounds. That is the meaning of phonemes. Now, let's see some examples to study so that we can understand the meaning of phonemes. Okay, look at these letters here. As we can see them, they are put or they are written in strokes. That is, there are some strokes between them. So these letters are not ordinary letters. Those strokes differentiate them from merely writing words or letters. The strokes are there in order to identify them as sounds. Now, as we're seeing them now, to read them, we don't call their letter names. Rather, we call their sounds. A, M, E, CH. This CH now, permit me to say this, is of two types. We have the voiced one and we have the voiceless one. One is pronounced S, the other one is pronounced D. So we have the NG. The NG sound ng. Then QU sound K. As I said, A sound A. K sound K. M sound M. T sound T. I sound E. TH either S or T. Then NG ng. QU K. So as I called those letters with their sounds, we call them phonemes. We call them phonemes. So when we write letters on the board and we put the stroke, we can actually tell one of our students, oh yeah, go and read those phonemes, not phonics now. The subject as a whole, it is called phonics as a method of teaching, writing, and reading. But the sounds, the unit of a sound now, like a sound, we call it phonemes. I think that is clear enough. Thank you. Okay, another term we use in phonics is grapheme. Graphemes. Graphemes. What do we mean by grapheme? Grapheme means written symbols representing phonemes. That is, when we use letters to represent phonemes. Simply put, when we use letters to represent sounds, that's mean of graphemes. That is, in writing, when we want to write, probably we want to write a word, not a sound now, a word. For example, look at this. We have CAT. CAT is cat, if you want to pronounce it. So if you want to write those letters together down, we use grapheme to write them. So in that case, we'll not be able to put the strokes as identifying them as what? As sound, because we are not writing a unit sound. If you are writing a unit sound, we call it phonemes. But when we are writing the sounds together as to form a word, we call it grapheme. So, for example, you have CAT, 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 cat. I hope that is clear. Thank you. Okay, now let's study this example to understand what grapheme means. Grapheme, as I said, it means writing of sound in words. When we write sounds, writing two or more sounds in order to form words, it is called grapheme. Look at this now. I start from C. You have K, R, E, A, T, U, R, E. I'm trying to change the spelling because I don't want to call the sound. Actually, we're not putting the strokes. So this that I wrote here, it is creature. So this creature now, if I want to make it in sound, I will put the stroke probably in one by one in units. But in as much they are together, like I want to pronounce it to make it a sound, a word, to sound as a word, yes, to sound as a word. So in that case, I'll put those letters together. Then it becomes graphemes because it is not a unit sound that is written. Well, if you count this now, I think it's more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is 8 letters. That is 8 sounds. Putting together in writing, it becomes graphemes. Now, let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, in this slide, I want to tell you the difference or the relationship between phoneme and grapheme. Phoneme, grapheme correspondence. Why are they working together? Why the conversion? Very easy. Phonemes is the sound. Grapheme is the letter. The mapping sounds to letters, that is the correspondence between the two of them. When you use the right sound to represent letters, or you use right letters to represent sound, that is phoneme grapheme. Using right sounds to its letters appropriately. In reading, there are some letters that is actually for a particular word. The same thing, there are some sounds that is actually for a particular word. That is what it represents. Phoneme graphemes means using the correspondence or the correct sound to represent letters. Using the correct letters as well to represent the correct sound, vice versa. Look at this example. CAT, 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 that is cat, not KAT, which is also cat. Do we get it? Thank you. We proceed to the next slide. Thank you for staying with me. Here is another term we use in phonics. This term is called decoding. Decoding. Decoding simply means reading words by sounding out phonemes. That is, for example, the other time I spelled cat, I said a cat. The sound I try to spell out, to sound out in the word cat, it is called decoding. The art means decoding, that is, using the correct sound to spell out a particular word. Using the correct sound to pronounce a particular word. In reading, after a child have identified all the 44 letters, even not all, let's say the first set, when it comes to using of Jolly Phonics, the first set, which is set pin. After a child can identify that, the child can actually start reading the two-letter words, forming those words from the sound set pin. I repeat, forming those words. Any words the child will be learning or will be reading or will be decoding, it has to be from the 7 letters or the 7 sound. S, A, P, E, T, in the 6 sounds. So we can actually form some meaningful words from those 6 sounds. So the next thing after the child can identify and sound those phonemes well, the next thing is decoding, that is reading words by sounding out phonemes. In that case, the boy or the child can actually sound out the sound in the word before pronouncing them. That is decoding. Okay, vice versa. The next term after decoding is encoding. Decoding is used for reading of words. As I said earlier while defining phonics, I said phonics is a method of teaching, writing, and reading, or teaching, reading, and writing. So when the child has identified some letters or some sounds, okay, the child can actually decode those sounds while reading. The next thing is using encoding to make sure the child can write those sounds down. For example, I called cats, or even I called s. A child should be able to encode it to know what I mean by that s and write the correct sound down. That is encoding. After identification, the child should be able to read the sound while reading at the same time, which is decoding. At the same time, the child should be able to write the sound while it is being pronounced for him or her, which is encoding. Thank you. In conclusion, by understanding the concepts of phonics, educators and parents can provide effective instruction and support to help children develop essential reading and writing skills. Yes, it is very, very important that as a teacher or a parent, we should be able to know how to teach phonics. Teaching phonics is very easy, simple, and fun if you can apply the right method. It is even very, when a child is good in phonics, the child will be good in reading, writing, and even spelling. So, what we just need to do to help the child is we should catch the child as early as possible. Operation Catch Them at Young. So immediately we introduce the sounds. We don't even need to introduce the letters at all. From the baby, while we chant the lorry to them, or we play cartoons for them. Let's play phonics for them. Let them watch phonics instead of watching the letter A B C D E F G. No, 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 no. Let them watch phonics, the sounds. Then by 2-3 years old, believe me or not, it is what I've practiced. My first born, my second born, by 3 years old, they've started reading. They've started reading because I introduce phonics to them as early as possible. I don't introduce letters for them. The same thing in my school. Our pre-nursery classes 1 and 2, they use phonics. We don't pronounce letters for them. We don't pronounce letter names for them. We pronounce letter sound for them. And when they get to nursery 1, they start learning the ABCD. This is how they pronounce it. Letter A sound A as in apple. That was when they are in the nursery class. In fact, that is when we start even to introduce the capital letter. I mean the uppercase letter. It is in the nursery 1. That is after they might have spent 3 years with us in the school before we now start introducing the letter names for them. That is in nursery 1. How do they pronounce the 3? They pronounce it is 3 in 1. They pronounce capital letter A and small letter A sound A as in apple. Look at that. Capital letter A, small letter A as in apple. That's how they now pronounce it when they get to us, nursery 1. But before then, they will have identified that A is A, and they can actually start reading. By 3-4 years old in my school, they will have started reading, because phonics is straightforward. It's not convincing. It's not na cram na pour as we did when we were in the school. That we just have to know that this thing is that is written. It is apple. A for apple. Is it correlated? No. Where is the similarity? Where is the... So please, we need to adopt phonics, and it is very easy, the simplest thing we can ever do for our parents and the children. Bye for now.